The two-day retreat, organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Constitution Review, ushered in a new sense of direction on crucial national issues, were considered as part of the ongoing efforts by the National Assembly to meet up with the timeline to achieve the first set of amendments by December 2025. The retreat provides an avenue for the committee to discuss legislation, hear reports from consultants on past constitution amendment bills, and develop plans of actions to resolve the concerns that made such bills to be stepped down. Consultants to the House of Representatives Committee on Constitution Review, while presenting the harmonized reports from the 305 memoranda submitted to the House by Nigerians, spotlighted issues bordering on economic growth and political leadership of the nation. The report highlighted the need for the committee to consider strategic economic transformation roadmaps, state policing, and women inclusion in politics as critical flashpoints of the review exercise. It also emphasized the imperativeness of social and economic laws that will enhance the welfare of Nigerians and reposition the nation for positive development. Presenting the reports to the committee, the consultant on election matters, Dr. Samson Osagi, highlighted the independence of the oversight institutions and agencies, seat reservation for women in the National and State Assemblies, immunity for presiding officers of the National Assembly, citizenship, provision for advisory roles of traditional rulers, local government autonomy, among others, as issues for consideration.
305 memoranda received and 112 pending bills are also before the committee. Many of the memoranda received are also making proposals for legislative action outside constitutional amendment. The first one was submitted by Dr. Time Guzo, former Chief of Staff to the Deputy Senate President. It talks about a number of issues: gender equality, regular structure and development, corporation of arms, public revenue. And as you can see from the report, each of these issues are covered by bills that are already existing. For example, gender equality for women and girls are already reflected in Bill number 71, already before the House. The one on federal structure and power development resolution is not reflected in a single bill, but there are several areas where they are reflected, and we have shown that in some cases. And the one on local government autonomy is reflected in Bill number 76. The one on public revenue, fiscal federation, and revenue allocation is reflected in bills number 37, 38, and 60. The one on establishment of state police is captured by bill number 29 of the House bill.
Similarly, the Director of Research and Development of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Dr. Olusegun Omishakin, said that the nation's economy is dominated by the non-productive sector, which represents 50% of population, leading to the collapse of the infrastructure and social sectors. Dr. Omishakin proposed stabilization, consolidation, and acceleration as economic roadmaps that will facilitate growth and boost economic transformation.
Our economy is not able to compete whether within or without in terms of the real power in Africa. I mean, for instance, if we rate according to the economic complexity index, if we rate where Nigeria belongs, we are the lowest part of the competition. We are ranked number 133 in terms of how complicated or how sophisticated our products that we are producing are. And so, apart from that, we social sector. According to the World Health Organization, we have about 100 Nigerians who have access to electricity. We have health challenges. We are about 178 out of 192 countries in the ranking. And of course, about 20% of global out-of-school children are Nigerians. These are signals that, gives us the ability to ask this question again. What is the role of Constitution in changing this scenario? We believe so strongly that some of the problems we are having are not just because we don't have the resources or the natural capital or human capital, but because there's some mismanagement along the path that makes our outcomes to be weak. So we are proposing that can we see a clear role of the Constitution in enhancing the capacity of the country to be more productive. We classify the operations of the economy into two ways. There are some sectors in the economy that are growing very fast, high growing sectors. Their growth rate by year is so high. There are some, even though they are growing, but their impact is low. So we have four quadrants here. At this side, we have low growth and low impact, where we have maybe about 50% of our sectors are productive sectors that are operating. They don't grow, they are not growing, and they don't even have any meaningful impact. When I say impact, I mean how much of employment do they have, how much of value addition do they create, how much of effects do they generate. And then on the other part, the lower part now, we have some sectors that are growing, but they have low impact. They are growing indeed, but their impact is very, very minimal or low.
Also speaking, the Deputy House Leader, Right Honorable Abdullahi Halims, attributed the nation's economic downturn to insecurity and called for constitutional provision for the prohibition of open grazing by the National Assembly.
As the rains are setting in, the farmers are ready to go into production. They are ready to, bring out food. But with this insecurity, herdsmen are dying all over. There's no way we can get production. So I want us to look around it and see how we can bring our constitution to secure these farmers. At least open grazing should be abolished by way of our constitution.
In the same vein, the Vice Chairman House Committee on Constitution Review, Professor Julius Ihomver, stated that faulty political structures and systems that produce leaders of the nation contribute significantly to the current social and economic realities of the country.
It is the political parties in most cases that throw up the people that occupy different offices who mismanage the economy of the country. And the way the parties behave, the way we turn a blind eye to our laws, is difficult. Why don't we have local governments technically today? It's great to win everything. They just pick people and put together. Incompetent people, and money is coming from the federation account to a unit that is not the constituent unit of the federation. But with the federation that is giving that money every month, has absolutely no control over it. Both the IGR, their laws, anything they do at the local government, the federal government has nothing to do with it. The Minister of Environmental Affairs and Special Affairs, nothing. So there's a fundamental contradiction there, and we should have the courage to address that. Political parties, they are in the constitution, either the formation of it, or even the management of it. But we should also have the courage to go a bit beyond it. Because no matter how much you have, no matter how robust your economy, if your politics is not right, you will not make it.
In a remark, the Chairman, Conference of State Speakers, Honorable Adebo Ogundoyin, while emphasizing key areas of interest, expressed optimism in the collaborative efforts of the state and national assemblies in actualizing the objectives of the review exercise.
You all agree with me that there is no perfect law or constitution all over the world, not just in Nigeria. And Hence, we must always review and amend policies, laws, acts that govern us, especially the ones that draw us back. Our decisions or resolutions of the Parliament at the National or State Assembly level and the review of the amendments of the Nigerian Constitution must reflect the wishes of Nigerians in order to achieve an acceptable, implementable, and enforceable constitution. Our action or inaction today shall be adjudged by our own people tomorrow. The interests of our people must be paramount at the heart of our ever legislator and other key stakeholders in the constitutional amendment process. Therefore, there are fundamental national issues that must be reviewed and considered for constitutional amendments. The issue of the state police. Also, the local government autonomy, both administrative and financial, is also another issue that has been bothering. But we, the states, the subnational, we have our own idea on the issue of local government autonomy. Because we also have to ask ourselves that are we moving towards true federalism or are we moving away from it? It is time for Nigeria to pick a side. It's either we are a federal state or we become whatever we used to be. But according to our constitution and according to the idea of Nigeria, we consider ourselves to ground government system.
The governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Pastor Umar Eno, represented by his deputy, Senator Akon Eyakenyi, lamented the lack of willingness by Nigerians to accept the Constitution as the people's document and assured the committee of his support in achieving its set goals.
The greatness of our nation is dependent on the quality of our Constitution. This is how serious your task is. The work of your committee is pivotal to ensuring that the amended Constitution does not only reflect the wishes and aspirations of the generality of Nigerians, but that it is a document that can stand the test of time. The most serious challenge facing constitution making in Nigeria has been the need to enlist the buy-in of Nigerians and get them to take ownership of the document. By its very nature, a constitution is a people's document, especially in a republic like ours.
Earlier in an address, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and Chairman, Committee on Constitution Review, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, assured Nigerians that the Constitution Review will enhance economic outcomes by modernizing legal framework, increase institutional capacity, address emerging economic challenges, as well as facilitate the inclusive development of the nation.
The constitutional amendments are instrumental in achieving better economic outcomes by modernizing legal frameworks, enhancing institutional capacity, better enhancing Nigerian economic potential, addressing emerging economic challenges, and facilitating inclusive development, especially as it concerns the gender and the less privileged ones in our society. Constitutional amendment have become imperative for a couple of reasons, including the following: the need to adapt to changing economic realities, to strengthen property rights and the rule of law, to promote economic freedom and fair competition, to foster fiscal responsibilities and budgetary discipline, to enhance governance and accountability, to empower subnational governments, the spirit of federalism, and to facilitate for structural reforms. The committee will immediately begin meeting with identified sectors. We have received 305 proposals from Nigerians. We have also received 112 bills sponsored by members at various stages of consideration in the House. These papers have been analyzed by the committee consultants, and the reports will be presented to the members during the course of this deliberation. We will also engage the citizens from across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones and will carry out consultation with the National Public Hearing in Abuja before the end of 2024.
Also present at the retreat was Nigerian Senate President Senator Godswill Akpabio, who urged participants to ensure that the outcome of the exercise reflects the diverse perspectives as well as the voices of Nigerians.
I pay tribute to the leadership, and I pay tribute to all the members of the 10th House of Representatives, not only for this great initiative, but also for your labors of love to deepen our democracy and strengthen the House's partnership with the Nigerian Senate. This is the commencement of a patriotic journey which will make a detour to the Senate. Immediately you are through with it, before it is stenciled on the tablets of our democracy. The task before us is not easy. I want to urge you to learn from history and forge a new path that ensures that the voices of all Nigerians are heard and considered. You should not lose sight of the fact that the review of the Constitution is a monumental undertaking that requires dedication, requires commitment, and a deep sense of responsibility. We must therefore approach this task with an open mind, with a willingness to listen and learn from one another. We must be guided by the principles of justice, fairness, and equity. And we must always keep the best interests of our great nation at heart.
Speaking after the technical session of the retreat, some members of the panel expressed their belief that the Constitution review exercise, when concluded, will usher in renewed hope and sense of belonging among Nigerians, as well as entrench true tenets of democratic system of governance.
The operationalization of the Constitution is the first major problem, which dissatisfied all of us, even if we put detailed provisions in our Constitution. The challenge we have is with our institutions who should enforce the provisions of our Constitution.
This is bringing it within parliamentary purview that he could be invited. I do not think it's adversarial. There isn't actually any value in inviting the president by way of summons to provide evidence for anything at all, because that's it. And all over the place. And those people are qualified and more fit to give that evidence. So I think it would be good to make it as friendly as possible.
Mr. President, since 1998, no any woman ever attempted to even purchase a nomination or ever attempted from state assembly to federal. Since 1998, to even attempt, not to even go here. Because there is some cultural belief that a woman cannot lead you. So what I'm saying, this issue, for it to have a national acceptance, then we need to have a very strong awareness concerning this issue and how we approach it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
With respect to Section 9, Section 9 requires that at the first instance, you need for fifth. For me, it's very high, 80% or above. Now, where you have achieved that threshold and you send a bill so thoroughly worked upon to the president, and with those accents, for me, in all cases, she should be tutored. Because we cannot approximate the authority of one man over and above that of the entire National Assembly.
I will agree that moving any issue from fundamental objectives, that's chapter 2, to the main body of the Constitution gives it stronger force and enforceable. But I disagree that where there is a law which inheres from any of the fundamental objectives, that law is not enforceable because it inheres from Chapter 2. I don't agree with that. Several laws have inhered from Chapter 2. One is environmental laws. If you look at Chapter 2 provides environmental issues as part of policies of state policies, right to clean environment and all that. But going further, there are specific environmental laws which even prescribes punishment and that you can sue the government for. Now, if you also look at the Child Rights Act, unless you're telling us that you cannot enforce the Child Rights Act, there are provisions in the Child Rights Act which inhere from the same Chapter 2, which are enforceable today. But the only thing is that what we are discussing now, even the Child Rights Act appears to avoid liability on the part of government, which I think that we should look at and then perhaps amend that Child Rights Act. Rather than put the responsibility on government, it's now asking parents to ensure that their children have basic education and even prescribe punishment for a parent that fails to do so. So I think that we should look at these things, amend them once there is a law, whether that law comes from Chapter 2 or not. In fact, the way to make Chapter 2 enforceable is what Igariwe suggested. Take from Chapter 2, enact a law, it becomes enforceable. You must not move it from Chapter 2 to another section of the Constitution to make it enforceable.
Member representing Ekiti North 1 Federal Constituency, Honorable Akin Rotumi Jr., who proposed the decentralization of security architecture of the nation, said that the retreat reflects the aspirations of Nigerians for a better and progressive nation.
That this time around we should see fundamental changes in the Constitution on those priority areas which we have identified, issues around decentralization or more devolution of powers for the subnationals, issues around security, issues around the economy, issues around participation and inclusion of special interest groups from women, people with disabilities. I think we are very, very clear about the fact that we want to make a difference, right, with this constitutional review process. As you know, we have a timeline that by December 2025, we're going to achieve those key constitutional reforms.
Member representing Isia Lambano, Onuimo, Okigwe Federal Constituency of Imo State, Honorable Princess Miriam Onoha, while stressing the need for more women inclusion in governance, called for advocacy and public enlightenment in order to penetrate cultural and religious barriers.
I see it from the standpoint that having more women in participation would not only increase the burden or cost of governance, like my colleagues have argued with the emergence of extra seats, but would create or present an opportunity for robust engagement where women are empowered. Like they say, if you empower one woman, you empower a nation. Imagine the plethora of business opportunities that will be released from the untapped economy where most of these women rely. We would have a lot more opportunity to do gender responsive budgeting and gender responsive governance, which will in turn empower more women and then reflect on our economy and GDP and all of that. So if you look at the overall implication of including or mainstreaming gender in the constitution amendment, you see that overall the country and the nation would have to gain from it. We also talked about the 35% affirmative action, which is already in the national gender plan and policy of the administration. So that is no longer news. That a president or a governor in constituting their cabinet should include not less than 35% of the women in their cabinet at the federal or state level. That will make for inclusivity, and in a country whose population is has the women as over 50%, you can tell that it's not too much to ask for 35% of this population to also be women. So you don't shave our head in our absence.
Member representing Ezeago Federal Constituency of Enugu State, Honorable Sunday Umeha, noted that a stronger constitution which devolves power to appropriate quarters will impact positively on the production sector, thereby enthrone sustainable growth and economic prosperity.
The law is that the constitution is the ground norm. That is the foundation of every society, every organization. If we get our constitution right, it will have overwhelming effect on our economy. But where the constitution is weak, where the constitution is one-sided, where the constitution is not a true reflection of what it ought to be, it will always have a negative impact on the economy. When you have powers devolved, let me give you a typical example. Look at the power sector. The Electricity Act that came into force in 2023. What did the Act provide? So we amended the Constitution to take the electricity as an item out of the exclusive legislative list into the concurrent list. What does it mean? We are encouraging the states to take part in the process of generation, transmission, distribution, and just in the power sector.
Consultant on gender matters, Professor Antonia Simbini, said that making provisions for women is to the benefits of the nation at the local and international levels, as it will engender robust socio-economic development of the nation.
Making quotas, special quotas available for women does not reduce the positions of men. Secondly, and most importantly, I think we made the point that it is to the benefit of the country and that the benefits are in different sectors. This is an issue of worldwide importance. The world average, Nigeria is not up to it. The Africa average, the West Africa average, Nigeria is very far. At the world level, you have about 23%. At Africa level, you have 22%. And in West Africa, you have 15%. And we're still between 4 and 5%. If we're going to be the leading nation of this continent or a leading nation in the world, this is one of the areas where we need to give further teeth to all the activities that we are doing in order to meet the SDG goals, in order to be able to do a lot of things. Women need to be involved in decision making, in parliament, in public offices, and all of that.
Member representing Obaro Federal Constituency of Anambra State, Honorable Afam Ogene, said that local government autonomy entrench dividends of democracy at the grassroots level and create more opportunities for youths and women participation in governance.
We all know that genuinely, if we desire to entrench our democracy and make it thrive, the place to begin is at the grassroots, at the local government level. We also know that there are several challenges because we do not want to delude ourselves. What has been holding the local governments down is the power of the governors and the state assembly, who ordinarily would want to vote for local government autonomy. But I also think that the provisions of the Constitution as currently stated, that you need 2/3 of the 36 states plus Abuja to get any constitutional amendment to scale through. The chairman of the Conference of State Assemblies joined us all through this 2 days of hectic interactions. And we think that we would also play the politics of letting them see that we do not want short-term gains as against long-term gains to make democracy work at our local level. That will open up the space for increased participation by youths and women and even men. If that sector, if that tier of government, the debate has been, should we allow local governments as a tier of government? And we all know that we are a unique federation, quite unlike other federal systems. We cannot use a one-size-fits-all for all federal systems. For the Nigerian system, the local government must work. If the local government does not work, then we haven't started even the process of enjoying our so-called democracy dividends.
Some of the issues adopted for consideration were proposal for the invitation of the president to present a State of the Nation's address at intervals, devolution of power, independent candidature, citizenship, among others.
Local government and all the related issues that we want to discuss around it has generated enough interest. It as a thematic area in the constitutional amendment. Those who support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The second one is the issue of independent candidate. Has it generated enough interest for it to become one of the thematic areas for us to look at the constitutional? Those who support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.